Well, there are two things that are mentioned in that posting by Donald Trump on Truth Social. In the first one, he's talking about our supply management system. There's nothing new in that whatsoever. It's been there all along. The 400% reference is the fact that American dairy producers barely have access to the Canadian market. They did get a bit of a breach when we had the Canada-U.S. trade deal. We've otherwise been able to keep intact our supply management system, and Parliament has just passed a law saying that in any trade negotiations that we will maintain that system of supply management. The other one, the digital services tax, is also not new. It's not something that was just thrown into the picture. What's happening, though, is Canada is obviously saying that's Canadian jurisdiction, it's our sovereignty, and we're imposing a digital tax. That's the one, for example, that saw some of the major players in social media withdraw from providing news in the Canadian market, notably Facebook, simply because they didn't like that tax. It was their way of reacting to a Canadian decision. That's fine. So Trump putting these two things on the table now is just rewarming up a very old meal that's been lying around for some time. And it can mean one of two things, because with Trump, of course, you're never too sure. Since he considers himself a master negotiator, maybe he has real hope to get rid of the digital services tax. If that happens, there'll be a heavy price politically to pay for Carney, of course, but then Trump gets to say, you see, I got a masterful deal. On the dairy stuff, on the supply management, I don't see how it would be possible for us to give much on that, because across the country, the whole system has been in place for so many decades that it would be upheaval in the Canadian dairy market. So I don't see that one as being very easy to move along. Getting rid of a new digital services tax, sure, that's not the end of the world.
Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne suggested to reporters last week, Tom, that the digital tax may be negotiated as part of the broader ongoing U.S.-Canada trade discussions. He said, and I quote him here, obviously, all of that is something that we're considering as part of our broader discussions that you may have. Now, we understand that the first levy, if we can call it that, the first payment for digital tax was supposed to go out on Monday. In your understanding of what has happened now in this hour, do you think that will still happen on Monday?
Yes, but I also think that there are negotiations going on, and that's the signal that you just correctly read in what François-Philippe Champagne said. He's basically showing his hand and saying we're willing to negotiate this thing away if it's to get the broader trade deal. So what's Trump's game? How does he always play the game? It's always the same way. He has to show that he's the winner. So he's setting it up to say, oh, these are the two things that I have to fight against. This digital services tax, boy, that's an attack on American corporations. We can't have that. He's probably almost got that in his pocket now. So he's going to say that he's shutting the thing down and then say that Canada came crawling back and finally gave him what he wanted.
Tom, what do you make of this timeline? Because the president has this habit of, 1 week, 2 weeks, 15 days, 2 months. And now he says, and I'm going to quote him, that within the next 7-day period, we will let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America. What do you make of this 1 week period?
It's the same thing, that we're very close to a deal, and that Trump will get to crow that he got the deal that he wanted if it does come to pass. At the same time, Prime Minister Carney is going to have to get ready to be very tough. Trump keeps saying he doesn't need Canadian petroleum, doesn't need Canadian lumber, doesn't need anything we've got in Canada, including the potash that goes into every single farmer's field in the United States of America. Fine. I mean, there are lots of options for us there, too. We could start levying very heavy tariffs or simply shut the tap on some of those things. And the Americans would be in a really tough bind. They're already completely disobeying, breaking every single rule that they signed on to in the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade deal. They can't be trusted on anything, and especially not on a new trade deal. And at the same time, that's what Trump says he wants. He wants to renegotiate the Canada-U.S.-Mexico deal. So this is Donald Trump at his best, in his mind, at his worst, as far as the rest of the planet is concerned, misbehaving, spinning stuff, going completely outside the normal rules of a negotiation. This is the Trump method. I don't read that much into it, frankly. I think that Trump is simply signaling that he thinks that a trade deal is within hailing distance with Canada right now. We'll probably get to that in the next week. And again, this will be Donald Trump's chance to crow what a great negotiator he is.
Indeed. Okay, we'll leave it at that for the moment, but always a pleasure. CTV News political commentator, former NDP leader Tom Mulcair. Thank you for your time, Tom.
All the best, Akshay.